Wanted to review this game because Dexter should have won this game. He didn't win. I kind of forget what plays happened, but let's see what's going on here. It's an interesting dynamic because he's playing with a big man. They're probably going to serve Dexter a lot, so let's see what happens here. Pass. Alright, we're going to go back a little bit. See what goes on here. Got a couple of comments to think about. We got a lot of things that are going to happen on repeat. We'll slow this down now. All right, so the first thing is the pass. This is a good pass. Now Dexter moves, gets in position. Look at your body language here. You want your body to be facing the target. Your hips are facing here. So if I were to guess, the ball is going to end up drifting a little bit left of the target. So keep that in mind, and that happens. This is still a good pass, though. I like you hold your platform, you get there in time. So this is a good pass. You have a lot of control of this ball, but it could still go a little bit more towards the target. Great pass. This is where you're starting your approach. I think you'd be a little bit better off just a step, either step back, or if you start here, that's fine. But like you're already in motion, I would just try to be a little bit more patient. If I were to guess, you're going to be a little early to this ball. And then like at this point, you're already kind of under the ball, and your shoulders are already kind of giving away your shot. I don't think you no longer have this option anymore. If you were like a little bit more straight, I think you'd have this option, or I think you're just early, so you're going to be easy to read from this position because you're early. If you were a little bit late and you had like a more explosive approach, you'd be harder to read. But you can see you're like already like looking up for the ball and you're under it, and then because you're under it, you kind of end up jumping upright or even slightly backwards, and you lose a lot of power on this hit. All right, this is okay. You could start cheating up here, but this is fine. So I want you to think about where you set the ball. Ideally you want to be setting the ball like, let's say at your forehead, and you end up kind of catching the ball down here, like at your chin level, which makes it really hard for you to use your legs. Let me see if I'm gonna just watch this in slow motion and see where you catch the ball. This ends up being a fine set, but you're gonna lose consistency, and you're gonna sometimes like lift the ball and cause yourself to do some doubles because you're catching down there instead of at your forehead. Your setting's gotten better though, where it's usually clean, but you're borderline a lot of times because it's all starting from catching down there. If you set from your forehead, you could use your legs to push the ball a bit more, but it's really hard to do to use your legs when you're starting down here. I think the same. You're gonna make that like mistake a lot, and it's just hard to it. Once you get it down, it's gonna improve your hand sitting line. Your footwork is also backwards here. Not the biggest deal, but you would see a slight improvement if your left leg was in front here. Big boy, you can get the ball. You guys want this point? All right, now let's keep going. Let's see this pass. So you're kind of your body's like going in this direction. You can see your hips are a little bit here, so this pass is gonna kind of drift to the left a little bit. Your partner should already be like cheating here more. But this ball is going to probably go to the left of like an ideal pass again. It kind of pulls him a little bit. This starting position is okay. Again, though, you're like already starting to move up, and you're not that behind your partner. I predict you're going to be early on this ball, and we'll see what happens because of that. So you're here, and you can just jump either upright or backwards from here. You can't like jump forward. And like you want to be hitting the ball like in front of your head a little bit, you're gonna probably hit the ball like straight up, and you're gonna lose a lot of power because of that. You're gonna also be easier to read because your overall approach is just going to be kind of slow instead of fast and explosive. So the same thing. This ends up being a good set, but just the same thing here. Let me see if I can pause this. You end up. I can't pause it at the right time, but like you end up catching it here. You could catch it like above your head. Nasty. Holy fuck. Just do that every time. Easy game. You can see you're just you're always making contact there. So I would just like when you're peppering or practicing your setting, you know, make a conscious effort when you're peppering. You know, maybe just like only do hand sets for 2 minutes when you're peppering, and when you do the hand sets, you know, really focus on only catching it above your head. And if you ever like go down here by accident when you're practicing, I would just like, okay, go here and then lift the ball up and then toss it. Like don't just let yourself catch it from down here. Try to force fix your mistake. You know, lift the ball. If when you're practicing, if you do catch it down here, lift it, raise it to your like forehead, and then toss it back. But like make a conscious effort when you're peppering to always be at your forehead. Don't allow yourself to go down here. Like kind of similar thing on this approach. We'll see. Did I go too far back? Might have gone too far back here. Or not? How far back? Okay. So this is kind of tricky because I don't know exactly what's right here, but there's like a lot of distance from you and your setter. It's like good that the ball's gonna probably go to your right hand, but I think you'd be better off like being here, telling him to set the ball like middle, and hopefully he has enough control to actually do that, and then going like back to forward. Instead you're doing like a lot of lateral movement. So you can see like your body language right now, you're like looking to like you're looking here right now. You want to be looking down court, and then like being explosive forward. Now like a lot of your like momentum and body language is lateral, which means like you're never gonna hit line with power, and ultimately like you're gonna lose power before you hit the ball once you turn to look forward. So like you can see you're under this ball, you're staring up, and it's just gonna be hard to be like explosive in that position. And then from here, like right now, your shoulders are still facing this. If you were to try to hit line, the only way to do it is like hit across your body, and it's just going to be like a very easy shot to defend. So that ends up happening. You end up going across your torso, across your shoulders to hit line, and he's going to scoop this up all day. If your shoulders are this square, I think it would be better just to try to give Luis your best shot possible instead of like trying to do some twisty hit. This is also like this set's pretty far off. It's hard to score in this position. So with that in mind, like the first thing I'm thinking of is like, all right, don't make a mistake. You know, just put the pressure on them. And to put pressure on them, I'm probably trying to go back middle or hit a jumbo. Somewhere in the back corner or back middle. Instead, you don't make a mistake. You give Kim like an easy ball. He fucks up, but if you put this in the back middle, like you can either possibly score or you're gonna get an easier ball in return. He makes an error because his defense is sloppy, but like if you played a better player, you're gonna probably get scored on this play. Okay, solid pass. So two things I want to note here. The same thing is happening again. Like you get to the ball, you make a really solid platform, you hold your platform. So like you have a lot of control over this pass. So it's a good pass. But just note where your hips are facing when you hit the ball. Like your hips are facing the server, and if you were pointed towards a target, the ball is going to naturally go to the target. So like right now, you know, your hips are facing forwards. So the ball, like if you were to guess where this ball is going, it's going to go here. But if you turned a little bit and lined up here, the ball's going to go to the target. Now, your teammate kind of makes a mistake here though. Your teammate's waiting for you to hit the ball to move. So he's going to be late. Like ideally your teammate is already here. Ideally he's already at the target. So if you pass the target, he's already there. Or if you make, you know, a slight error, which this is a good pass, but like it could have been a little bit better. You know, if your teammate was already at the target, all he has to do is take one step and he's there. No problem. That's a good pass. But because he's late, this like looks like not a great pass when, you know, this pass is actually, you know, pretty decent. It's still he has to like make an adjustment for it because he's late, but he should have been there earlier, and that was a good pass. But you can see like, you know, that's the difference between like a decent / good pass, but if your hips were straight, like that's a great pass, and then even if he's late, then he's giving you a better set, and if he was on time like he should have been, like you're gonna side out just, you know, way more often. Nice up. Way to not cheat on the ball and being able to dive and get there. Nice. It's a little bit harder to analyze on this side. Probably could find something to talk about that play, but seemed fine. Oof. It's tricky. Nice.
Stay with me. I got it.
All right. Nice. Good serve. Fucking sketchy set, but all right. All of his sets, like, it's a question mark. Like, is it illegal? It's always like close, and they don't like look good, but it's like almost, it's not bad enough to call at this level. That could have been fingers too. Like, almost all of his touches are kind of borderline. I'm not calling it at this level though. Whew.
1-2. Third.
Probably some nitty things I could talk about, but I'm not going to. That was a pretty controlled play. He's all over that. Just do that every time. You can see your right leg is consistently in front though. And it technically should be the leg that's closer to the net. And the reason for that is you close yourself off to the net. So a lot of times if your right leg's in front, you're going to push the ball too inside by accident. Whereas if your left foot was open to the net, then the set that you give is going to more naturally go to your teammate's right hand and like not pull your hitter. You're going to push him out more, which is good. Let's see what happens here. That's like, isn't that a lift? Probably, but I'm not calling that. Let's just take a look at this approach, I think. Let me see. Okay, so pass, I don't know if I have a comment on. I think your body was actually facing that way, but I don't know, why does this pass go that way? I mean, you kind of jump backwards at the end, so that's kind of why. You want like a little momentum with hitting the ball, and then like you hop backwards and the ball ended up going to the left or like a little backwards. But let's just see where what happens with this approach. It'll slow it down a bit. You end up being super early. You can see that's like it consistently happens. So your setter's late again. He should have already been here. This is a fine pass, but he's late. Like he's fucking up here, honestly. Like if I'm here, I'm hand setting this ball because I'm already at the target. All right, But by the time like he's making contact with the ball, see where you are. So, I would probably, you're here. This is a good spot to be, but you already have a lot of momentum. Like you can be here and just wait. You also like it's really hard to know where he's putting this ball because like he's late, he's bump setting, he doesn't have the most control. So like you want to give him space in case he doesn't give you a dime, which he's like probably not going to give you a perfect pass here. You could like be here, maybe a step further outside actually, and then just wait and see where the set goes. But instead, he gives you a bad set, and because you already have so much momentum forward, like you're already under the ball, you're gonna be super early. If you would have just waited there, and this would have been a bad set, then you could have taken like a quick 1-2 step at the very end, and still had like an explosive hit. But instead, like you're under the ball, looking up, and now like you're gonna hit the ball up here when you should be hitting the ball like forwards here. Or like even worse, like now you're falling backwards. So like unless you get like a really lucky shot that like hits the net and goes short, you're not gonna be able to score here. And then like if I'm them and I'm seeing this, like if I'm this player, I'm cheating towards the middle. Luis is just standing pat in a good spot, trying to cover as much ground in the angle as possible. So ends up actually being a really good spot. You would hit the line, but like because you're falling backwards and you have to lob it up, like even though it couldn't have been like a better spot really, you're hitting the line. He's still able to scoop that up. Where like if you weren't early in this ball and you were behind it and then took on a final quick 1-2 step and you're hitting the ball with pace with topspin, like, and you hit it deep, like he might fuck this up. But instead, you're like falling backwards and you have zero power on this ball. So like Luis is scooping this up all day. Nice. This dude ends up making a good play. Fun conversation about the double. Let's watch it one more time. He makes a block touch, and then he pops it up again. You put it in a good spot. Great play. Gives you a free ball. So, like, this is a free ball, so this is kind of like your default. You could square up a little bit more towards the target. This ball is, once again, it's like probably going a little bit to the left, but this is a consistent pattern. Like you make a really good platform, you're holding your platform, which I like a lot. So you still have a lot of control of this. You could just probably point your hips a little bit more if you get behind this ball to the left and point it a little bit more to the target. And then again, like your teammate should be here right now. He should not be here. So even if you're gonna give him a good pass, he's gonna be a little late to this ball. That was actually a really good pass. Could have been a tad higher, but he's bump setting. And again, like you're here, you're looking to the right. I'd maybe be here and just waiting more. I think your default positioning is good. You're just moving up too early. So that was actually a little bit better, I think. Let's see if I can actually communicate things well and see if I know what I'm talking about. I like that, like, this ball is in front of you. So you're making the ball at a good contact. You end up kind of jumping early, I think, for this. And then you lose some height. So you can see, you make your, like, peak, your apex height is, like, here. I think you ended up just being, like, a tad late. But I think, like, that ball is much harder to read than, like, all of your previous hits. And then he has to, go over. And then here, like, you're starting in front here. So this ends up being a bad set. He pulls you, and I think you end up getting kind of lucky because it was a bad set. I think if this is, like, a good set, if he's setting you here, you've been in way too early. But because, like, you're already in front of him, but because he's setting here, you actually end up being later than you should have been, and it ends up helping you. you know, you still hit the ball with forward momentum. Ugh, maybe I could have been wrong about this. It's just like a little low, and you're going across your body, like you're going across your body to hit this ball. It doesn't help that you're, you know, like look at your hips right now are like kind of facing, like the only shot that this can go in is like right here. Whereas if you're more behind the ball, you have a lot of court to work with. Like right now, you have no court to work with the way your shoulders and torso are pointed. Wish I could say more, but probably not educated or good enough to know or communicating. That was also, it wasn't like your default footwork too, so it was a weird play. I know your like default footwork is goofy, but yeah, the footwork on that one was just different. What a spot by Louise. Got ace. It happens. That's a good set, or that's a good pass, and he gives a free ball, unfortunately. And you guys get penalized for it. See, he's just like, in this play, he did cheat a little bit. He could cheat more, and like the same thing happened in the play before where he was just like a little late, and even though you gave a good pass, like he was forced to do something a little bit unconventional. This happens a lot. This happened the same play 2 plays ago or whatever, where you can just see, like, look where your torso is facing, and a part of it's just because your approach, and like look how much court you're giving yourself. Like ideally, when you hit the ball, like your opponents have to be worried that you have the entire court to work with. But look where your shoulders are pointing. Like right now, you know, you're like not really close to hitting this ball yet, but your shoulders are already giving your shot away. Like your shoulders are facing here. Like this is the only court where you can really hit this ball, unless you do some like weird turning shit in the air where you lose a ton of power. So if I'm your opponent, so I'm seeing your shoulders, I'm Luis, I'm taking a step this way. If I'm this dude, I'm taking a step this way, maybe going inwards if I'm him. Because if you end up hitting line here, 1, you have to twist your body, so that's gonna be a tell, and 2, like you're gonna lose a lot of power. So like I can, like instead of being here right now, you should be a step further back and opening your torso towards the middle of the court more, so you have more shots available. Right now, I'm looking at this, you only have this shot available. And you're already so tight with the net that you can't really jump forwards anymore either. You have to go upright. So it's going to be hard to hit this ball with power, and you only have this shot right now. So that's kind of what happens. You just, you know, you kind of just toss it up in this spot. Honestly, like Louise, you know, if this was me, like I was already in this position, and this is a free ball for me. But he didn't really read it right. He didn't cheat, which at least like that's not terrible if he can't see that's coming. But because he didn't read this, he has to go over on 1, and like it. Honestly, this is a free ball. But he's gonna make you work for it again. Setting your setter setting backwards gives you kind of an uncontrolled, or like an unreliable set at least. You know, ideally he's getting behind the ball, setting forwards. Like if I'm you, I have no idea where this set's going. That's stuff. You're starting from way back there, and he's setting backwards. This is a recipe for an error. Let's see what ends up happening. A little bit of slow motion. I think he sets you a little tight. So, I mean, he sets you too tight or too low. I mean, it ended up having a lot of height, but it's hard when you have to go to the back line to the forwards. So like, I don't know. I'd probably try to communicate with my partner here to like just up to try to just say like, I just want a controlled set here. I don't want to make a mistake. You know, don't set me to the net because I'm way back here. You know, just like easy set, just up. Instead, this is like a little, I don't know, a little tight maybe. maybe he pulled you two inwards, but there was a lot of distance you had to cover here with this backward set. That's just a tricky ball to read. Alright, we're almost done here. Alright. Nice. Good spot. Can I say anything about this though? Because like, you know, let's just see. This pass was okay. It was like a little low, but it's fine. It's reasonably to the target. But again, like you're already in for like after you pass this ball, you know, you should just stay there or take a step back. Instead, like you're already moving upwards. So like you're here and you're just going lateral. So like right now, you know, your shoulders are pointing here. You're not giving, you still have a little bit more than you did a couple points ago. But in order to hit a ball, like you're gonna have to twist your body. So, you know, or to twist your hand at the end. Like you're never having, like your body is literally facing the opposite side of the antenna. You're facing this way right now. So you're gonna have to do some weird twist shit with your hand, and I don't want to say you got lucky here, but like this is not going to be a reliable shot. You want to be like behind the ball and hit the ball forward. Instead, you're like twisting your hand. Perfect jumbo shot, but it's just gonna be inconsistent. I like that approach much better. At least here, like, you're funny free strum. You're hitting the ball forwards at least, which is good. You put some pressure on that one. So there's anything I can say about this. I think you're still just you're a tad early though. So like, you know, you want to end with the most momentum possible. And I would just say when you're doing your approach here, think about when you had the most momentum. We're gonna watch it back in like slightly slow motion, but we'll see. So you have the most momentum probably right now. Like that was when you were the most explosive. Instead, like you were the fastest then, and then what happens is you got to the ball really early, and then you did like this slow shuffle step at the end. You kind of want to do the opposite. You want to start with your like shuffle step and then end explosive. And then that last 1-2 step, like you want to dig into the ground, you know, do a fucking strong arm swing backwards so you're digging into the ground and then bouncing up. Instead, you're kind of just like light-footed at the end. I don't know, that's probably not the right word. But you're not trying to jump as high as possible here. Like I know you can jump 4 inches higher than this, and like the combination of that, and because I'm pretty sure you're launching off the wrong foot here, right, left. I think this is actually right. Was this right? I'm being slow now. Could embarrass myself. Is this wrong? I'm being slow. But I know you can make higher contact than this. But at least like there, you had a lot available. Let me see. Go back one more time. The ball was forwards. Good swing. At least like if I was the defender, I wouldn't know where you're going with that shot. Where like a lot of times before, you're so squared off where you give your shot away. That shot was a lot harder to read, so that was good at least. All right, I wish I could have communicated that last one a little bit better, but a couple consistent things I think you could like easily improve on was just the timing of your approach, the direction of your hips when you're passing, and like before you're hitting the ball. And then the contact you're making on your sets. You just make a focused effort of putting it up here instead of down here.
And I think you're going to find yourself just being a lot more consistent when passing, setting, and hitting. I want to talk about this last footwork again on this last point. You end up being regular footed, and it was like, I think it was an accident, honestly. And your like arms weren't used to it, but it ended up like helping your approach, I think. And you can see the difference between this and like your typical goofy footed approach. It ends up helping you. You like you were going to do left right like you usually do, but you ended up right left, but it was like a really quick like movement at the end of like just to kind of fix your timing, and then you end up being regular. But just I want to reiterate the point of like the benefit of being regular footed. I don't know if my camera is good enough for this angle, but the beauty of being regular footed. So if I'm gonna go. Okay, you want to go right left, and the whole point is right now my left foot is like a little bit in front, so that when I come up, my left arm is naturally like in front and gonna guide me with my. It's very natural for my guiding hands to be up if my left foot is front. If my left foot is up, or if my right foot is up, goofy footed, then in order for me to use my guiding hand, like I have to twist my torso. So like that can almost be good if you like get up there and like twist back. You can generate a lot of power there, but like it's a lot less comfortable. If you would like practice on the ground without a ball of like what's more comfortable, you have your right foot in front with your left foot, guiding you. Like this position is really uncomfortable for me, honestly. But if my left foot is in front, like this is way more natural for me to open up my shoulders and then swing. There's like a lot less twisting involved. Like this is not a stretch for me really. But if my right foot is in front and then my left hand is guiding me, like this is an uncomfortable stretch for me, and it's just like very unnatural. So you've probably heard a couple times of like people noted that you're goofy or whatever, but like that's the impact it's making. You'd be a lot smoother if you did fix the footwork. I think you would also be a little bit harder to read because of that, and that's what ends up happening here. Is like if you would have ended with your right leg in front, your entire body probably would have twisted this way to your left and would have been more readable. But because of this, like now, like you can hit the ball everywhere. You're still early, so like you're not going to have a lot of power. You're hitting the ball, like you're right under the ball, but like you kind of have everything here at least. And you can see like I think this is one of your best hits, and I don't think it was a coincidence that it was from a regular footed approach.